Would you like to see how your fabric looks in a quilt pattern before you make the quilt? I've got some exciting news. Keep watching. Hi, it's Fran Morgan with Fabric Cafe, and I'm your fabric matchmaker. We have some exciting news on this episode of Matchmaker. So you have been asking, how are we doing the digital images of the quilt? Well, we use a more involved program to do that, but we have discovered something perfect for you to put your fabric into a 3-yard quilt. We're going to share that with you in just a little bit in the show. But first, I'd like to jump into our very first participant. Now, Kathy is our first participant today, and she sent us this great fabric. Is this not gorgeous? The black background, these beautiful turquoises and greens in this, and this is so reminiscent of the tropics, and I just loved it. Love to share the story with you. Let's do that now and see what Kathy has to say about that. So Kathy writes, every year my sister and brother-in-law escape the cold and snow of Montana and spend a few weeks in Hawaii. The year of my milestone birthday, they discovered a fabric warehouse. They sent me several beautiful Hawaiian fabrics. What a great birthday present, wow. The other pieces had lots of colors and were easy to find coordinates for. This one has me stumped on what fabrics and what patterns to put with it for 4 years. Help! I make lap kit quilts for our local cancer foundation to give to the people they assist. They will be passed along to them to give to someone to provide comfort and warmth. All the quilts are made using 3-yard quilt patterns. I love them. Thank you, Kathy. Well, Kathy, I think we have something wonderful for your Hawaiian fabric. Let's start out by looking at the pattern. Now, I have chosen Saltillo for your wonderful Hawaiian fabric. Couple of reasons why I did this. Now, I love this kind of pattern here. It really gives lots of movement, vertical movement on the top of the quilt, gives you a nice large space to show off your fabric. Now what's great about this is your fabric is not a directional fabric, so it'll work perfectly in this. The other thing is I think this shape, and the reason why I named this quilt Saltillo, is it kind of has that feel of a tropical environment. I just remember the smells and the sounds of walking into your hotel on vacation, and this kind of has that feeling for me. So let's put it up on the table and look at your fabric in this quilt. Okay, now we have used your fabric, Kathy, in the position 1. This is such gorgeous fabric. I really love the punch of color that this has. Now it is a little monochromatic, but it's gorgeous. So we have it here. It is going to go in this large area here on the quilt as well as on the border. Now, love it on the border too, because even though this is a really large print, what it's going to do is it's going to put all of these little bits of color. So can you just imagine, I'm just going to kind of fold this like this, all of these right on the border. It's going to be gorgeous, and it's going to really frame because it has that black in it, which is, I love. That's what gives your fabric that really specialness, because that black gives those colors a nice background to really pop off of. So as the number 1 fabric, it's going to be great in this position. Now the number 2 fabric that we chose to go with it, and now this is going to go in the background back here. And I kind of chose this kind of rough fabric with some multicolors. It has the beautiful greens, a little bit of the gold browns and the whites in here, because all of the variation of your leaves are picked up in this fabric. I think it's going to look great. We're going to look at that image in a minute so that you can see. And then our number 3 fabric, another great texture, is going to pick up the darker jade greens in your focus fabric. That is going to border your focus here and really add that punch against the background so that it looks gorgeous. Now this is a big print, your focus fabric, but I really think it's going to work well in this area because it's going to really show off all of those colors. So let's look at the image on the screen, and you can see it is striking. Now it is a monochromatic quilt, just a little bit, not totally, and I think it just has that soothing kind of rainforest feel. I like that. And it does look like the tropics, so it's perfect. So hope you love it. And for participating today, Kathy, we will be sending you, of course, the fabric number 2 and the fabric number 3 to go with your focus, as well as the book Make It Modern with 3-Yard Quilts that has the Saltillo pattern included in it. All right, now let's look at something that we have for everyone else. We have something very similar, and I was very excited to find this because I think this has the same tropical feel that Kathy's fabric did. And you know how here on Matchmaker, we really try to offer something similar to everyone, and I thought this was just a super option. So here is our jade green with a little bit of lime and off-white in our leaves. Nice big print, same as Kathy's. It will be going in the centers here of our blocks to really show it off, as well as on the border. Okay, our number 2 fabric, same similar fabric as Kathy's. The green with the little kind of scratched up texture with all the little bit of creams and beiges in here really picks up some of these lighter colors in our focus fabric. That is going to go on the background here. And then we have a similar kind of scratched up grungy looking fabric here that has the green, but it also has a little bit of the blue. And that picks up the blue in our flowers here. Now this is going to border here all of our focus so that it really gives that pop, which I really want. Now, some similarities here. I want to talk about this. This is another big print, big focus fabric. It is a tossed fabric, which basically means there is no definite direction. It doesn't have to go a certain way in order for it to make sense. It's tossed so it can go in these big areas very easily. It makes it really great, as well as on the border. And of course, these look amazing together. Now, I have an image on the screen for you. And as you can see, that number 2, number 3 really helps that focus fabric pop and really looks great. But you know what? Every once in a while, you know me, I have to play around with it, and I had to switch it up, and we love to switch it up. So I actually swapped positions 2 and 3 just for curiosity. Now, I've got an image on the screen now that shows you that swap. And isn't it cool? I think it looks great both ways because the number 2 fabric still gives you that great pop, even though it's reversed. It's kind of interesting how it worked. So this quilt can be made either way. What's your preference? I'd love to hear. What do you prefer? The number 3 in the background or the number 2 in the background? Because either I think looks amazing, but it still highlights that focus fabric. Okay, let's look at the kit information on this. All right, our number is 8023185. It is called Hawaii Comfort. The pattern is Saltillo from our Make It Modern book, and the alternate pattern that we're suggesting is Gallery. Our next participant is Linda, and Linda sent in this really charming fabric. Now, I love the colors in this fabric, the purples and the pinks and the grays. I really think they're beautiful. And it kind of has just a touch of a little bit of an Asian flavor, which I kind of like. And it's got the butterfly. It's just charming. It really, really is. So let's hear what Linda has to say about her fabric. Linda writes, "When my mom got older, she decided to give up sewing. I learned to sew from her. She gave me this fabric a couple of years before her passing. I would like to make this fabric into a quilt to remind me of my mom. Thank you for all your help making this into a precious memory." Well, thank you, Linda. Hopefully we've got something perfect for you and it'll bring back all those wonderful memories of sewing with your mom. Let's look at the quilt pattern. So Linda, I have chosen Allure for your fabric, and what this is going to do is it's going to put your fabric into this position right here, right in the middle, and then of course on the border. And what it does is it's really going to show off your fabric really well because it is framed with the number 3. And you know how I feel about that. Anytime you frame your focus fabric with the darkest fabric, it creates this moment where it draws your eye to your fabric. So let's put it on the table. Let's look at this and look at the image. So as I said just a moment ago, Linda, we will be putting your fabric into the number one position, which is the focus position. And that is in this big square here. And I think it's gonna just be nice and it fills it up really, really well. Your fabric has a lot of movement to it as well. So I really think that that helps with this pattern, because the Allure pattern is a little bit more static because it's squares, but it keeps it simple. And the reason why we like it simple in this case is because your fabric has so much movement. And that is really where your eye is going to be drawn to. So that'll go everywhere the floral is here. Now the number 2 fabric I kept very soft. It is going to go in the background. So all of our alternate blocks here and on the border. I really wanted to make sure that it was a very calming color and that the whole quilt in a whole is very soothing and soft and still picked up the colors in your focus fabric. So the number 2 fabric is this wonderful pink. And then our number 3 fabric. Now this one is the perfect shade of purple to match your flower purple, which I think is perfect. It is going to be your box here as well as the center of the alternate block. Now I chose this fabric, and bear with me, you're going to see the image in just a minute. It really, really works. I chose it because it still has a little bit of movement, but it's not overwhelming movement. It's not a super bold print, and it's going to be in much smaller pieces. So the little bit around here and in this center here still gives you interest in the center of this block, but it's not just overpowering. It's the perfect shade of purple. So let's check out that image so that you can see how that goes together. And it really works. It's almost like the movement in our number 3 fabric kind of picks up the movement in the focus. It's not overwhelming, it's very simple, and it's very, very sweet. So I hope it works out really well for you. So Linda, today for participating, I appreciate it so much. I'm going to be sending you 1 yard of the number 2 and the number 3 fabric, as well as our book, The Magic of 3-Yard Quilts. Now, The Magic of 3-Yard Quilts does have the Allure pattern in it, so that you'll be able to make that up in no time. Remember I talked about earlier when we started this whole episode that we've got some exciting news for you. We have been working with a company called PreQuilt. Now, PreQuilt is an online company that has coloring pages for quilts. Now, what that means for you is that you can take your fabric or the fabric swatches they have online, and you can put them in any 3-yard quilt that you like. Well, we have quite a selection up there now. Now, all of the quilts that you see in today's episode are loaded up there so that if you want to go color them yourself, you can. Now let's step through how PreQuilt works. First thing you're going to do is go to PreQuilt.com. Click on the top right-hand button that says Coloring Pages. Then you're going to see another button that says See All Coloring Pages. All right, then we're going to do a search on Fabric Cafe. And usually whenever I go to PreQuilt, you'll see Fabric Cafe in the banner at the top in our fun little logo, so you'll be able to find it without any trouble. Then you're going to choose a pattern that you want to color. And you just click the button that says Color This Pattern. The link is at the bottom of each image. Now you're going to bring that up, and the pattern will be on the right side of the screen, and there'll be 3 edit boxes on the left side of the screen. And when you visit PreQuilt, you'll notice that we've loaded all of our patterns with Fabric 1, Fabric 2, and Fabric 3, just like we do with all of our patterns so that it corresponds, so you know exactly where we're going. You're then going to click on the edit boxes where the little pin is on the little Fabric 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to select from the beautiful colors that they have loaded for you. Now these are solid colors, and that really gives you an idea of kind of the direction that you want to go, which is really, really awesome. Now this is the demo version. You also can go on and load your own fabric. Now that's going to take a subscription, but let me tell you, I've got a special deal for you. We have 20% off. All you need to do is use the code FABRICCAFE. Now this is on an annual basic or market subscription. Now be sure and do this before June 30th because that's the deadline. And you want to be able to go color your own quilts. This is very cool. And don't forget, all the quilts that you see in the episode today will be available on PreQuilt, so you can go color them yourself with your own fabric. How fun is that? Go check it out. Don't wait. It really is cool. Okay, I have a kit for you here that matches Linda's kit. So let's look at that before we get too much further. This is so gorgeous. Okay, now Linda had that beautiful movement and that floral in those purples and pinks. And I think we found something that was really gorgeous too. This kind of has that watercolor look, which I love. Beautiful purples, pinks, a little bit of raspberry thrown in there. This will be our focus. It will go in the center of all of the blocks here. Now our number 2, I went a little different on our number 2. I went a little lighter, and it is going to go everywhere you see the beige here. And it has just kind of a tone-on-tone vine, because I didn't want to distract too much, but I thought the vine pattern picked up the vines in the number 1 really well. All right, the number 3 is a yowzer for me. Love this fabric. Little bit of a watercolor look, but look how the purples and the pinks pick up the purples and the pinks in the focus. That is going to be your border here and in the center of your block here. It's gorgeous. This quilt, okay, let's jump straight to the image, okay? Let's go look at it, because when you look at this, it's like, oh my goodness, it is striking. If you are a purple pink girl, this is for you, because you know me, I like the bold colors, but this was really beautiful. I thought it turned out really, really well. So let's get the kit information for you on this. It is called Precious Memories. The number is 8023186. It is the Allure pattern from the Magic of 3-Yard Quilts, and we're suggesting the alternate as Pretty Please. Our next participant is Lori, and Lori sent in this gorgeous fabric. It's got a brown background with these wonderful turquoise florals and these outlines. This is so beautiful. A little bit of yellow in here. What a great color combination. So just absolutely love this one and think it is gorgeous. So let's find out about this fabric and what Lori has to say about it. Lori writes, "Hello, I love your show and your books." Thank you, Lori. "I have had this material for about 3 years. I wanted to make a quilt for our camper, but I'm afraid to cut it. I have a hard time matching fabrics and don't want to put something with it that won't match. Can you help me so that I can use my saved fabric for the perfect quilt? Thank you so much." Yes, Lori, I think we have something fantastic for you. So let's first check out the pattern. Lori, I have put your fabric into Heartland. And the reason why I have done this is a couple of things. One, once again, we have a nice block here that's really going to show off your fabric well as the number 1 fabric is on the border. And you know, I love that whenever that happens, because it really helps frame and really highlight that focus fabric. Then it has an alternate block that is a pattern, so our fabrics here can be a little simpler, and this is what gives you your interest. So yours is going to be the focus here, and then we have a great companion fabrics that are going to go here and be fabulous. Let's check it out. Okay, so Lori's fabric, as mentioned before, will go in the number 1 position. You know what I just realized? All of these fabrics today are in the number 1 position. I am not being my normal rebel self, but you play with it, you know. You go to that PreQuilt and check out PreQuilt, move some fabrics around, because sometimes our big focus looks great in another position. In this case, I did put Lori's in the number 1 position though, because it really did work well here. So this gorgeous fabric will go everywhere. This beige is here, and this nice wide border. I think that's going to be fabulous, because this really is great. Now our number 2 fabric, a little bit of texture on this fabric, but the blues work so perfectly with the blues in her flowers. That is going to be the background here. Now remember I said this is our highlight block here. This is our interesting block where we have just a simple fabric, and the quilting piecing is where we get our interest. So this blue will be here. Now I put it with a little brown dot. Now the brown dot actually picks up the brown in the background, which I really, really like. And that is going to be in our little block here and on the border of her focus fabric, which I think is going to look great. Now whenever you put all this together, I think what it does is it kind of creates a very charming look with just a smidge of a pattern, But whenever they all go together, the common base of this and why this works is because the blue is repeated and the brown is repeated. And it looks so charming. So let's check out that image on the screen and you can see how well they play together. And I really think the colors on your fabric are just gorgeous and love the way they fall. So Lori, today for participating, I'm going to be sending you 1 yard of the number 2 and 1 yard of the number 3, as well as the book, Pretty Darn Quick 3-Yard Quilts. Don't forget, all of the patterns in our episode today are available on PreQuilt, so you can go color them yourself. Now, I tried super hard to find something that had similar coloring to Lori's fabric, because I really loved that brown and turquoise together. I just really thought it was pretty. Couldn't quite get something similar, but I thought this was really, really pretty, and it had that same feel. Now, this kind of is more of a jade green, off-white background, and instead of a brown, it uses a gray. So this would be our focus fabric. It's going to go on the border and in our main block here, which I think is going to work great. It's a similar scale as what Lori's fabric was. So our number 2 fabric, oh my goodness, is this not just the funnest thing? It looks a little retro, don't you think? I think so. So it looks great with this flower. So you've got a little bit of this kind of greeny gold as well as our jade in here and our off-white that picks up all the colors in here beautifully. This is going to go in the background here, everywhere the cream is. And then our number 3 is a great gray texture. And this gray picks up all the grays in our flowers. Now this is going to be our frame to really focus on our number 1 fabric here. So that gray will go here and in our churn dash block here. So that this and this are going to pop beautifully together and still give a lot of interest, but that pattern kind of creates that charming feel that I think the Heartland pattern has and this fabric has. Kind of has a little bit of that retro spunk to it too, which I like. So let's check out that image on the screen. You can see how fun it is. And it's kind of cool to put a retro fabric like this that's got some stylized flowers in a very traditional pattern. I think it's kind of a neat twist and kind of gives you some quirkiness. So it's really a lot of fun. Okay, let's get the kit information on this one, Floral Traveler. The number is 8023187. Once again, the pattern is Heartland from our book, Pretty Darn Quick. So I want to thank each of our participants today and in all of our series of Matchmaker. Everyone has been so wonderful sending in beautiful fabric swatches and very fun stories. I really, really love working with your fabric and hearing all the stories from everyone. If you would like to participate in Matchmaker, all you have to do is visit our website, fabriccafe.com, click on the free goodies tab, and there will be a submission form there so you can send in your story and your swatch. Now please remember, I do prefer a 12-inch swatch if at all possible, and I will do my very best to get those back to you. So it was a wonderful day today. Thank you for joining me, and it's Fran Morgan, your fabric matchmaker.